Hey, this is Sam with Tusken TV, and to my right is Bub, or your left.
No.
And we're about to do a little review over Ghostbusters
Afterlife.
And I can't wait to get to that. So let's hit this intro up real quick and let's get right into this thing. All right, so we're back. And yeah, we actually just went and saw Ghostbusters Afterlife yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say this right now. It was a very good film.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to go over a couple of things with you. I know Bub, he's got a list.
I have a list of some things that were kind of weird with it, but overall I enjoyed it.
So this is for anybody that, if they don't want to see or hear, or that's what I'm saying, hear any of the spoilers, we're going to give it a few minutes on that. But I'm just going to give, you want to go ahead and give your actual, like, just give us a broad review of like what you think about it. And I'm going to give you mine. And then we'll go into like the spoilers and some of the storyline.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Overall, it was a fun movie. Nothing groundbreaking, but it's fun and it's a good sequel to Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Although, kind of annoying that it completely ignores Ghostbusters 2. But yeah, it was a good movie. There's not much else to say.
All right, and I'm gonna give this movie a pretty good solid. I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10 Jawas. Actually, 9 out of 10 Tuskens with the Jawa seal of approval. Probably 2 Jawa seals of approval. I love this movie a whole bunch. It was a good movie.
I'd give it like a 6, above average.
He's gonna give it a 6 above average. Now, Bub, he's a pretty hard critic on movies, and for him to give it a 6 is probably like a 12 on my scale. So that's how he's pretty tough on.
For me, like a lot of people think like 5 is bad. For me, 5 is like average. You know, like an average movie. It's like, oh, you know, it's a good movie.
Yeah, this movie is definitely better than average. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, it was above average to pretty good. So.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now to all you guys, all the critics out there hating on this movie. I don't know what movie you guys saw.
Your opinions are objectively incorrect.
Yeah, I'm going to say right now to the fans that love the other movies, this movie was a huge home run, massive home run. This is the way they should have handled Star Wars, in my opinion.
This is the movie that should have came out in 2016.
Exactly. I don't dislike the 2016 one.
The 2016 one isn't funny and it's bad.
I liked it. I have some elements that I like about it. There's some that I don't, but
Only
that's
Chris
not this
Hemsworth
movie.
was good. But anyways,
And
back to good things.
Back to good things, and back to saying that what I was saying. If Disney would have did this kind of storyline with Star Wars, it would have been huge. But they chose not to. They chose to go their own path. This one, with this little reboot, they kind of came in. They gave good, solid nods to the past and gave you good characters to build onto the future. I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, I liked most of the new characters.
Yeah, they were pretty cool. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Although the son was a little
Yeah, he was just kind of there.
Yeah, I was expecting him to be the main character because he was the one that was in most of
They
the marketing.
kind of showed him, yeah.
But it was
they kind of hyped him up.
who was the main character.
Yeah, and actually she did a great job.
I actually liked her.
Yeah, she's great little actress. Did a great job.
It was probably smarter to pick her because she's the one that's more like Egon.
Yeah, and then they had a couple other characters in it that I loved. So that was our little review of what we gave it. I gave it a solid 9 Tuskens out of 10 with 2 Jawa seals of approvals. Bub gave it a 6 Tusken. Did you give it a Jawa seal of approval?
I guess so.
I guess he's giving it a Jawa seal of approval.
Or if you don't like my number ranking, my ranking is very good.
I'm going to give it yes. I'm going to give it a thumbs up for this film. I thought it was a great movie and I enjoyed it thoroughly. So now, if you guys, we're going to go directly on to the spoilers. We're about 5 minutes into this video. So right here, it's going to be spoilers. So right here, spoilers on. Yeah. All right, so let's see what Bub has to say right now.
I guess start with negative stuff.
Let's start with the negative stuff.
Let's get to stuff that was good. Overall, just some like the things that were a little weird was they never say who their grandma is.
Okay, I can see that.
That was one thing I was kind of like, they never say...
Confused.
Yeah, like they never say who Egon got with.
They never say it at all.
Because like I was thinking like they would do the secretary. Which it's maybe implied because she was there with Egon, but it's like they never say, and it's like you think they would mention the grandma.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was implied the secretary because then like the mother would have like said, oh yeah, whatever.
yeah. So I was like thinking like maybe the secretary, but it's like even then it's kind of like weird that mom wouldn't recognize her mom.
Yeah, that one.
That was kind of like
it was kind of weird. Like, who was the mom? It didn't really say who the mother was.
And I always thought it would be the secretary because they had like a little thing in the first two movies.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, no, in the first movie for sure. Second movie, no.
Well,
because it's with what's his face in the second movie? Rick Moranis' character.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really remember the second movie. Neither does this movie. It completely ignores.
It kind of does forget some of it. I am gonna say.
I think like the toaster from the second movie appears like in the background of Egon's basement area.
Oh, I do know one thing that comes out in that shows up in the movie is the bug out. I think his name Bug Eye or Bug Out Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, like in through the town,
it
pops out. And then they had like a coal miner, and he was kind of throwback because he kind of looked like the taxi driver from the first one. So was that the taxi driver? Or was it like the coal miner?
No, it's just a coal miner.
Yeah,
but just in the same
style.
style.
It was pretty close.
One thing I was surprised by is that Slimer didn't appear.
You know, I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, because I was thinking like maybe they do Slimer because he's like an easy one. You know, everyone knows Slimer, but they didn't.
I think they played it safe by not doing it, so they went with Stay Puft and like kind of made like his little minions come back, and that was kind of funny. Some of those little Stay Puffs were kind of
how they
pointless,
were killing each other.
Yeah, it was kind of morbid a little bit, but
like
it was still good.
They were burning each other over like stoves, and one of them fell into a blender, and they blended it, and you can see its face. Like in the smear marks of the marshmallow, you can see it still has a face.
So that kind of stuff was kind of, I mean, it was cool.
It was
but
morbid, but kind of funny.
Yeah,
or it was kind of morbid, but it was funny.
Yeah, so what else you got on your list there? No Grandma, which you're right. I didn't think about, I actually was thinking about that when I was watching the movie. I was like, are they going to say who the mother was?
Yeah, that was one thing I was waiting the whole movie for. But another thing is, how did the original 3 Ghostbusters get to Somerville? Because they never mentioned them finding out where Somerville is.
Now, see, like on that part, we had talked about that, and I'm gonna assume that maybe Janine had like called him and told him after she found out, or maybe Ray, like someone had got the ball rolling.
But it's like there should have been a scene in there.
Yeah,
that was Ray calling the other two.
Something that would have added up. But I think they kind of left that to like the play to imagination. They want you to like.
But it's a major ending point though.
Yeah, it is.
It's like you should have at least one scene. It's not completely it's not a completely like missing hole, because there is like, you could probably fill in the gaps, but it's like there should be a scene in there that fills in the gaps for you.
Yeah,
but
that was one that was kind of wonky.
My third point here is just cringe teen boy. But
so the go ahead.
Explain. Yeah, the son is just kind of cringy.
He is kind of cringy.
It's the point.
That's the point. He's a teenager who's cringy. So,
but I just put that on here. Cringe teen.
That's
boy.
funny.
The pacing at the beginning and at the end was a little strange, because the beginning is very quick and then the ending is very quick, and the middle is kind of slow.
There are some slow parts. There's some parts that they could have built on that I thought, like the sheriff, they could have built on the sheriff a little bit.
Like they should have had a scene establishing him earlier, and then you see him later,
and then like establishing like him doing stuff,
and establishing the one of my other points is J.K. Simmons' character.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of appears in the middle and then dies at the end.
What's that guy's name? Is it Ivo?
It was Ivo.
Ivo
Shander or something. Or
yeah, so like he built the building in the original movie, and then this is like where he came from, the town he built. You know, it's kind of the same. It's kind of like what they did with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Where they kind of like, it's the same storyline, yes, kind of, but it's way better. It's like fan service at its finest. It's fan service, adding new stuff, but the fan service was done correctly. I'm gonna say it was done correctly, and I mean I can't stress that enough. It was done right.
But another thing that kind of was weird was Gozer dies very easily.
Gozer gets trapped very easily.
Well, same thing. Like Gozer gets defeated very quickly.
But I think the point was like Gozer, they set up so many traps, and it was supposed to be easier once towards the end, because Egon had set it up for a long time to capture what he was like, 20, 30 years?
Yeah.
30 years
but
or something like that?
It was still kind of like by the time they got to Gozer at the farm, I was like, oh, we're already at the end?
Yeah, it was kind of you're right, that pacing was really fast. But
because I was wishing they would show more of the ghost apocalypse in the town.
Yeah, like more ghosts. Like, they definitely should have more ghosts. They showed the buildup of all the earthquakes and everything like that, right? So
they do a lot of build up to the ghost invasion, but you don't really see much of the ghost invasion.
You see a lot of lights. You see some really cool practical effects. I'm gonna tell you right now, you see good practical effects though.
The dog practical effect was cool. The CGI for the most part was pretty good.
Yep, CGI was really good. Practical effects were really good. I think that's called. Is that a? I can't remember what the name of the dog is called. I actually have some of the Build-A-Figures in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I actually thought they should have had more Ghost in the town as well.
But that's all I have. Oh, and then ignores Ghostbusters 2.
Ignores Ghostbusters 2. Somewhat.
It doesn't like decanonize it, but it doesn't acknowledge it either.
Yeah, it just kind of, I think there's a couple pieces of equipment that were from Ghostbusters 2.
I think there's like a toaster that's in Ghostbusters 2 that's in the background. Like I heard someone, or I saw someone mention that.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is, but
I do like the whole thing about when Egon goes away.
Oh yeah.
When he passes away, that he
really
starts stacking his books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the beginning of the movie where it shows Egon.
The
beginning was very different than what I was expecting.
Very different. And like I think we both had discussed this. We talked about the storyline a long time ago.
Yeah, I thought,
and we were wondering how they were gonna do it.
Yeah, I had thought that Egon would have been dead for a while.
Yeah,
but no, they show like Egon dying is very recent in the movie,
and it made perfect sense.
One thing that surprised me that I was wondering how they would handle Egon. Mm-hmm. Egon is a main character in the movie.
Yeah.
But he's a very indirect main character. It was a very, I guess, tasteful use of Egon.
Yes, and at the starting of it, where they don't show his face, they do that on purpose, so you get this expectation, and they kind of like leave the actual, nice dramatic show of him at the end of the movie.
Yeah, like how he's invisible and he's helping his granddaughter or whatever.
Yeah.
And I like how she just says like, "Oh, I think I met grandpa."
And I think the perfect example of using a character, I guess post-mortem is it was that they used his likeness, but he did not say a word.
Oh yeah, with his ghost. Him appearing as a ghost was very cool and very surprising.
Yeah,
because I was kind of like going into this movie, I was a bit like, oh, it sucks. It's only going to be the original 3 returning. But no, it does have all 4 of them working together, and it's pretty amazing because they really all do work together. And I'm not gonna lie, when you see the last final part, whenever they showed Egon, I was getting a little teary-eyed. You get a little teary-eyed. Yeah, I cried a little bit. I had a little tear right here. It was very well handled. Yeah, because I was wondering like, how are you going to do it? Because you can't just ignore it. Yeah, and going back to that part, talking about at the end of the movie where he comes in, the biggest part of the movie that was the tearjerker is when you see the granddaughter. What's her name? I can't remember the character's name. Phoebe. She's holding the wand, and then Egon helps her, grabs it, and then you see, I'm getting kind of not choked up, but you get goosebumps, thinking about it. So you see, Winston, Peter and Ray all standing there, and they all look over, and he just gives them a wink, like, boom, here we're back at it again. That was one thing I was like, because one thing I was kind of like, oh, it would be kind of sucky if they just had like, oh, here's the original 3 Ghostbusters, and then they beat the enemy. Beat it, and it's it, yeah. It was like, it kind of sucks because you built up the main characters. So like, I was kind of like, oh, I hope they don't beat Gozer, and then like the main characters are just left useless. Yeah. But then she goes and helps, and then like she isn't like or she's like wobbling or whatever, and then has Egon help. And it's like that was a very good way of having the original 4 help and also having the new character help. And that's the way you would have liked to have seen them do Rey in Star Wars. You would have liked to have seen Luke Skywalker, the backing coming back. This movie is just how Star Wars should have done it. It's exactly how Star Wars should have did it. Egon comes back, physically helps her defeat. That's one of my favorite. The powers, their actual strengths together help defeat it. Not one person, but a whole group of new people, whole new team. And that's the way it should have done. It should have went down. But they failed on that in every aspect. Also, podcast his introduction was a little strange. But I liked him. Yeah, I like podcasts a lot. I liked how Ray was the only subscriber. I thought that was hilarious. And I like how they set up the joke of him saying, "Oh, it really gets his voice by the 46th episode." 46th and then episode, at the end, Ray is like, "It really got his voice by the 46th episode." That is so hilarious, man. Hey, you know what? Before we forget about it, we're about 14 minutes in. Oh yeah, and they showed Egon's mold and fungus collection. Oh yeah, they did. When you see it, when it's like panning through the first time, you see it, and he's got like little electrodes poking. At first, I was confused, but then I was too. I watched like or I didn't watch a video, but I saw like a post about Ghostbusters, and I read it. I was like, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah, and his Nestle Crunch bar, and then you see this as Twinkies. You get to see a Twinkie in the mailbox. I mean, not mailbox, but the glove box of the glove box. Ecto. So there's a Twinkie, but you get to see Egon's Crunch because he's always eating his Crunch bars, Nestle's Crunch bars. That was pretty funny.
So yeah, they did the callbacks very well.
Yeah. So I was gonna say this before. So now we're about 15 minutes and 30 seconds in this thing, but this is a shameless plug. I was gonna say
we're wearing our merch.
Yeah,
you can't see it very well.
And this right here is the.
I have my own merch.
Yeah, he's got his own.
It's
merch.
my censored logo on a shirt. So it says censored.
The censored logo here, he's wearing on a shirt down here. So, and then I also have some other designs here. Native American hero, and this one's the Hunter code name Provider. So it's Provider. So it's a very G.I. Joe made design shirt that I made, and then of course the logo here, censored logo.
It's just the censored logo man on a shirt. So.
Yeah, it's on the shirt. So if you guys are interested in picking it up, head on to
you want to
Public and pick it up.
Your least favorite YouTuber co-host,
so
you know how to.
Boom, bub, get the shirt, get censored. You know what the deal is. But and then you know what? We also had another question is about Spider-Man. He has a Spider-Man figure.
We can save that to the end.
Oh, you want to save it to the end? Okay, so we'll stay tuned for the Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, because I'm in a predicament.
How many was that on your list?
That's all of them.
I mean, like
those are all of my issues.
Are you guys? I mean, I don't know if you guys have known this. If you've seen any other reviews that we've done, normally his list is 30 minutes long. We're only 14 minutes. 14 minutes in his side. And it's very, very small.
I do tear things apart mostly because it's very easy to, because a lot of movies nowadays aren't exactly well constructed. But this one was pretty well done, besides like this very small amount of problems. And even then, some of them are just kind of like, oh, that could have been done better. But it's still good.
And even though this is a script that we've kind of seen before with the old ones, they were able to add new elements into it that did not make it the same. And I think that's what made a huge difference between Ghostbusters 3 and the newer Star Wars movies. They added enough elements into it that made it interesting enough and took you into it, and it also had enough of the older nods that brought in all the old fans and new fans. So I think this one is a great bridging the gap and a continuation of the story.
There is a post-credit scene. There's two post-credit scenes,
and hopefully you guys stay for both of those, because those are both awesome.
I like how they did the callback to Bill Murray's character shocking the people.
How he likes to shock people.
Sigourney Weaver's character.
So that was pretty funny.
And then it has a teaser for Ghostbusters 4, because it has Winston go back to the old fireplace.
And I am so glad Bill Murray came back. I will say this about him. The years have been pretty harsh to Bill Murray.
Time has not been kind to this man.
Dan Aykroyd looked pretty decent. I mean,
Winston looks the same,
and Winston looks the same. I mean, I actually thought Winston looked better in this movie, the third movie, than he did in Ghostbusters 2. He looked like Winston. I mean, he aged perfectly, like fine wine. So Ernie Hudson.
If the series does continue, it'll probably just be Winston and Ray.
And I don't
see Bill Murray really returning, because Bill Murray is kind of known for not returning a lot.
Yeah, and I'm surprised he's returned for this one.
Well, he probably returned because like, oh, one day of shooting. All right, I can do that.
I loved on this movie too how they used excerpts and non-used footage from the actual Ghostbusters first movie,
where she watches the commercials.
And I like how they had the extended versions of the commercials. So if you're watching the movie, you can actually see that full-on commercials. They might even have them on YouTube. I haven't even looked for them, because that'd be cool to go on there and look and try to watch some of them.
Also, Paul Rudd was funny.
He was perfect as taking over Rick Moranis' character. And basically that is what he did, except for he was a scientist. And he did his thing.
I like the joke where he's like, oh, it's summer school, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, and summer school in Somerville, Oklahoma, fictional town. And that was definitely not shot in Oklahoma, but I'm gonna give my props for them to say it was Oklahoma. They did use a lot of old Oklahoma license plates. Like they were I think most of the license plates that they used were early 2000s, but it was still cool to see them say Oklahoma, mainly because it's a perfect place for them. Because yes, we did have a lot of earthquakes in the early 2000s to the 2016,
and we're also in the middle of nowhere,
and there's lots of tornadoes, and it would explain the huge tornado that happens in Somerville. So it was a great. I think they did a great job with storyline. I think the script was great. I think the actors and actresses were great,
and it was funny.
And it was good funny. It wasn't that cheesy funny. It was like these jokes fit in the movie. The kids were great.
I like how They have the constant joke of Phoebe trying to do like Friends, but she's terrible at it.
Her jokes. So she has like these awesome one-line jokes, and I laughed at every single one of them.
Or it's like
it was pretty close to home for me with my kids.
It's like she's trying her best, but she's just bad at doing it.
It was so good. It was so good.
But I like how she did that to distract Gozer, and Gozer is just sitting there confused and like, what?
And I do love how they did not try to mimic the same Gozer.
Yeah,
Gozer was upgraded, had nice spike, because the other Gozer has like a bubble outfit, like more bubbly.
So it's probably just like, Gozer just updated.
It's like it. It's not. It's also, either male or female.
Yeah,
it's Gozer.
Like, it's an entity.
Entity. Yeah.
But I also like the that portal or whatever of the ghosts trying to break through that the thing, that trap that Egon did of the proton packs. That was a really clever thing.
I like how he was a dirt farmer and he put all of his traps into the ground. That was really cool. The whole intro of the movie, I love how Ray had the tattoo of Revelations on his arm. So that was something that he would say to Egon about. And actually, I think he was talking to Ernie Hudson. Yeah, Winston. He was talking to Ernie Hudson's character, Winston, when he was talking about Revelations in the Ecto 1. Ray was. And then, of course, that's what Egon has on the farm.
And they do a reference.
And then Ray has it tattooed. That's the first thing you see about Ray. You see his tattoo on the arm. And it was cool to see the callback to Ray's shop. Mm-hmm. It's called, what, Ray's Occult?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and it was cool to see him call back to the shop. And in the in-credit scene, the extra in-credit scene where Winston says, he made a lot of money. He basically left. He said, he's like, I'll always be a Ghostbuster. Even though I made all this money, I'll always be a Ghostbuster. So he decides to reopen the Ghostbusters again, which is one of my complaints. Because this only complaint I had.
They do a joke about it being a Starbucks.
But then again, they return at the end.
It could have been just like, it was turned into a Starbucks.
Yeah.
But like, maybe it was shut down or whatever.
But then you watch it and you see
it looks all decrepit.
Yeah, it looks all decrepit and old, and then he goes downstairs. It's kind of like that was an afterthought. And you see him go, like he's not going downstairs, but you see the old ghost trap, the main ghost trap, the lights blinking, like there's something inside of it. So that was my only complaint. Other than that, I don't have any complaints about that movie.
And another thing that was kind of weird is people don't believe in ghosts anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like
that was like that's kind of odd because like
I can believe it. Like even like Paul Rudd's character. He knew about the Ghostbusters, but a lot of people it's kind of like forgotten about. It was more or less people had written it off as almost as a hoax. So it was
like Stay Puft Marshmallow and the Statue of Liberty both moved. So
it's so
that's like one thing. It's like you didn't have to put that in there, because it just unnecessarily complicates things.
The only thing I could think of is what they were going with in that part was that
the Ghostbusters have been forgotten about.
They've been forgotten about, and a lot of people don't believe a lot of things unless it's on the main media. And like maybe it wasn't main media, and people only saw it on YouTube, and they can say, "Oh, that was fake." You know what I mean?
Well,
so they can play that aspect. That's the only thing I could think of.
If I were to have changed it, I would have made it to where they stopped believing in ghosts, but they made it to where they stopped believing in ghost hauntings.
Yeah.
Like, ghosts don't haunt places anymore.
Except for podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
And podcast believed in the ghosts, and that's what kept him going. Because he was going around town telling her where he's thought ghosts were, and then and stuff like that. And then Ray was listening to his channel, so which explains it later on. Like Ray would listen to his channel about the ghosts.
Right.
So.
Well, maybe that would be how he found out about Somerville. But then again, how would he know that?
Yeah, I think he was. I think he might have been tracking it.
Again, it's one of those things. It's like
you don't know.
It needs more. It needed to be more clarified.
Yeah,
because as it is now, it's a little nebulous on how.
Yeah, it all works. The only thing I think of, like you could have had Ray listen to the podcast. He would have been reporting the podcast, or you could have had Janine telling Winston about it because they were close, obviously. And then you can also have
because like Ray and the others don't seem to know that Egon is dead. So it's like you would think. She would call them and say, "Hey, like, Egon's dead."
You would think that would happen. So I think at the end they kind of like you're kind of led on to believe that probably she did because she is meeting with Winston.
But like,
so
that's
you're
like
kind of thinking that,
after
the fact when she has
like you'd think she would have called
coin.
them first of all people.
Yeah,
or maybe not because they didn't like each other. So.
And now the coin scene that she comes out with talking about the coin that's not even in the first movie. So like. That was a cut scene, so they did a great job of using old cut scene talking about the world the World Fair coin that she gives Egon before he goes on the building in New York. And so they brought that into this movie. So that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
I really like how they used the old footage. And
that was really, really cool.
Footage.
And I'm going to say this once again. The best thing to me about this whole movie was the way they used Egon and how they
it was
approached
very
it.
well done.
It was well done. And he did not say a word. Just the way it should have been. It should have been a simple nod. And
it's a nod,
like
and
suggested in a good fadeaway. And they did it perfectly. And this is not only a movie for early Ghostbusters fans. This is a movie for new fans that they don't even know about the old Ghostbusters. They can come and watch this movie and they would get a good vibe from it. And then they're like, oh man, I should go back and watch the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it is a good family movie. It really is. It's a great family movie. You know, you could take young kids, older kids, moms, dads, grandpas.
A few interesting jokes.
But it was not like
Eternals' first scene.
Yeah, it's definitely not like
quick Eternals review. It sucks. Don't watch it. Watch Ghostbusters.
Yeah, don't waste your money on Eternals. Highly suggest dumping that movie down in the toilet and going to see Ghostbusters. If you're gonna go see any movie this Christmas or Thanksgiving, hopefully it's out still this Christmas, but Thanksgiving for sure, go see Ghostbusters. 2 thumbs up for me. Boom, 2 thumbs up. Let's see if I can 3 thumbs up. Possibly 4 thumbs up. I think you had so 4 thumbs up from us. But go see this movie. It was a great movie. I'm actually wanting to see it hopefully maybe one more time.
Yeah, before it leaves.
In a couple of weeks, yeah.
I loved the theme that plays whenever Egon appears.
Yeah, it's very cool. And that's another thing. They did well on the music.
Yeah, the theremin?
The theremin. Yeah. So they have the traditional Ghostbusters theremin music. They used the original score, but they also added new elements into it. Like, so you have like the Buzzcocks were in there with the punk rock song, and and it's the classic Buzzcocks song. So they're using that in the movie. They used a couple elements, throughout the movie. They did really good on the song. And they do
use the classic Ghostbusters theme at the end.
And it's beautiful. It's well done. It's so well done. And I loved it. Mm-hmm. You know what? I think it's about time to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Pose
the question.
So let's pose the question. He's got a quick question for you guys. If you guys want to take a peek, drop down in the comments and whatnot. So he's got.
I'm in a predicament. I'm trying to choose between two of. I can only have one of these for now. So should I pick the black and gold Spider-Man Marvel Legends figure?
So there's the black and gold Spider-Man Legends figure. So he's got an option to open up this one. Or
the integrated Marvel Legends Spider-Man.
Yeah, so which one do you guys think he should get and open up?
It is up to you, 5 people that are watching this. And
5 or 6 people that are watching us, who knows? But he wants to know which one he should open. So comment below, let us know which one he should open. He can only open one now, right?
Yeah.
The other one's got to wait for Christmas, right?
Yeah.
So he's got to hold one for Christmas, and the other one he's got to open up now. And hey, thanks guys for joining us, man. We had a really good time watching this movie. Thanks for listening to our reviews, and hopefully you get to catch us on our podcast, which we do have a podcast. This will be on the podcast as well.
We're going to disappear for the next 5 months, and you'll wonder if we're dead or not.
We're going to disappear for a couple of weeks. I kind of disappeared for the last month, but it's just because I'm trying to prioritize some other things, get some other things going.
And also the computer broke, right?
Yeah, my laptop actually broke down, and I had to get it repaired. But I was working diligently on a couple of things like shirt design. So TeePublic, Tusken TV on TeePublic. I have lots of different designs.
Logo. Yeah. Buy my merch.
Buy his merch. Censored logo. Oh, I keep forgetting which way. There it is. That logo. So the opposite way, that logo is on a shirt. TeePublic is going to be down below. So hey guys, once again, thank you very much for listening, and we're going to catch you on next time. Always remember, keep your fingers crossed, your eyes peeled, because we're on to the next one. Peace.